Welcome to a very special Legislative Digest series that we're doing this month for Gate Safety Awareness Month for the month of October. And this is going to be a series that looks at gate safety through the lens of different areas of our industry. And I'm excited today to have an AFA member, also a contractor business owner with us, and that's Shane Yarborough with Bartlett Fence out of Memphis, Tennessee. Shane, thank you so much for being with us. I got to know you several years back when you were the chapter president for the Memphis Tri-State chapter, and you did a great job, I know, in that role, and have been around a while. But then you've continued to have really great success through your starting of your own company, Bartlett Fence. So I'd love for you to just take a moment to introduce yourself to folks and let them know kind of about what was your background before you started Bartlett and just that transition for you, if you would.
Gotcha, not a problem at all. And thank you, Catherine. So I actually graduated high school, went to the corporate world, worked my way up and around and did all those kind of things. And one day came to the mindset, excuse me, I just was tired of the hustle and bustle, shirt and tie, and wanted to do my own thing and found my way into partnering up with a gentleman on another fence company. Been around this industry since I was pretty much born, right about 5 years old. My dad was in it. He worked for Memphis Fence before he started Bartlett Fence. I grew up with Philip Dole. He was honestly Uncle Phil growing up. So knew a lot of the guys in the industry before I even stepped into it full time. But worked with that gentleman for many years. We got a great company going. They're still doing great today. Very very successful. And about a year ago, just kind of started. Well, about a year and a half ago, kind of started thinking, man, something's not right, something's missing. I want to, not sure what I want to do, but I need to go a different path. Sat around the house for like 2 weeks trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Thought I was going to work for a contractor, or excuse me, one of the vendors, being a salesperson, and a neighbor, and then my wife and my oldest son, kind of in unison within a few days, said, why don't you open your dad's company back up? And we just started going with it day by day and step by step from there. And we're 13 months in now, basically, and it's been an awesome, exciting roller coaster of a ride.
You're really just a little over the year mark. You said you started around 5 years old, and I think for many of our viewers that can be a very common path for a lot of folks in our industry. I think especially in contracting, we grow up in the family business, as I did. My dad had a contractor business, and we spent some time working in that. So it is common for this to kind of be part of our blood, so to speak. We've been in it since
Yes,
we were
ma'am.
babies almost. And so with that said, you've been around long enough to see many new technologies come, new styles of fencing developed, new standards that have come online over the years. And I know that you have been a great proponent of gate safety awareness really from the beginning. And I've always appreciated that. But in light of that, kind of what drew you to be such a proponent of gate safety?
So if I go back to 2019, I believe it was, and I was down in Texas at AFAU. It was myself and another gentleman that worked with me. He was in FIS, and another gentleman was in OIS, and I was in Fence Contractor Business School. And I'll never forget this. We've all gone different paths now, but I'll never forget the night we were sitting in the little restaurant right there in the hotel, and we were talking about, man, this is not what we knew. This is not what we were taught. You know, we need to go back and change this, do this, fix that on jobs that were completed that we already done. And that's pretty much exactly what we did. And then it evolved from there to where I actually got into conversation with Philip, with Scott, another gentleman at OAS, and others, and watching social media and watching members of AFA and asking and learning, to where by the time it was 20, I think it was 23, I went back down. I'd been several other times, but went back down to AFAU and Texas in 23 in the fall, and got to actually meet Mr. Eric with Hummingbird Alliance. And one night he was there speaking, at a dinner, and we got to spend, I don't know, 30 minutes, somewhere around that area, talking, myself and some others with him. And I don't know, it just drew me in, and everything that I've learned over the last several years of, children getting hurt, children getting killed, just all those kind of things. And it's kind of like, we do should not be something that causes someone to get hurt. in a normal matter. Personally, in everything I did every day, if it involved a gate, is that gate safe? To the point of we even at one point had towards the end we had a two check process. Whoever installed it, somebody kind of do like a QC. This person needs to know the standards as much as this person, but go out and double check because we're all busy. We're all running. We're trying to get this install done because we can get to the next one. But slow down, take a minute, pay attention, take some time, check it. Somebody else goes back behind you and check it. Because at the end of the day, the time it takes to do those things is not worth someone's life. And I think that's the biggest thing that really turned me and really made me a big advocate for gate safety, and to always watch it, learn with it, grow with it, and be an advocate of making sure I'm doing it as well as other ones are doing it.
I think a lot of times, to your point, people do just walk through a gate and you don't even think about that it would be a life safety issue because you do it every day. So you kind of almost ignore that it's there if you're just a non-fencer average citizen.
Yes,
and I love to hear how you kind of highlight that as a process with your own employees to just double check those things. While this is, yes, it's an extra step if you're not already doing it, it's really not that big of a deal to make these checks or take that long. So thank you for doing that. I think that's a great model for other contractor companies to hear about that are listening today.
Yes, ma'am.
And you've done it all. You've gotten to kind of rise up through the ranks, so to speak, from a young age. Now you're the head of your own business. There's a lot of folks out there, contractors, who are just getting into the world of fencing. So would you have any advice for them on that? And then also, would you have, what would be your reasons to tell somebody starting out why it's important to follow these gate safety standards?
So to answer the first part of your question, I think the biggest thing I did, even though I was raised around this industry, I didn't know all the nuts and bolts of fence installation and the network of people around me. And even today, like even my guys that, work with me and run crews and, foreman, all that, I learned from them. I learned something today from one of them. I learned something yesterday from one of them. They learned from me. You've got to be open-minded to be able to teach and be able to learn. And you've got to have that mindset, but you've also got a network. You've got to get involved. Find your local AFA chapter, get involved there, get nationally involved, because the knowledge that people have around this country and the power that they have to help you become better and to grow is priceless. If you have golf tournaments or bowling leagues or whatever in those chapters, go do them. It's a fun time, but it's also networks you with people. We're all competitors. We all are. That's a statement. It's a true statement. But there's a term Dan Wheeler uses called fence fam. And I learned the true meaning of that back in 2019, 2020. And just because we compete, I can promise you the people in this industry, I love this industry. There's no other industry like it. I'll stand to my grave with that one. If you're in trouble and you're somewhere and you need help, we may be competitors, but people are going to come help you. If you need to know how to do something, learn how to do something, they're going to help you. Yes, we're competitors, but the knowledge we want to share and the heart we have for each other in this fence fam, in this industry, it goes beyond anything I've ever seen.
That's a great plug. We always want to plug our chapters, and you know more about chapters than most people, having been a former chapter president for Memphis Tri-State. Also, you talked about some of the education courses. We have AFAU coming up next month in November, and that's also, it's a great time to sign up for that, where you also can network, make lifelong friends, and learn about the industry. And if you could give just in your final thoughts here, why would you tell somebody new why it's important to learn about gate safety and install it to the standard?
So at the end of the day, I'm a dad and I'm a grandfather. I've got a granddaughter and a grandson, and Ashley and I have 7 children. So I always ask myself, my son, he installs gate operators and does access control, he does the same thing now. If I walk away from this gate, if I walk away from this situation, do I trust it for my children or my grandchildren to walk in and out of it without them getting hurt? That's my QC. And I'm looking at it, the post, how they're set, concrete around them, the water concrete, velvet out holes, safety chains, catch post, everything I can think of that I can look at and be OCD about. Do I feel like that's going to be standard enough or to the standard and safe enough for my child or grandchild to walk around, play around, be around, not get hurt or not get killed? And if I can answer yes to that question, then I've done my job.
Shane, you always are one with words of wisdom, and we appreciate you sharing those with us today and being on for gate safety. Look out for Shane. He has a great kind of feature he does on his own social media pages on Fridays, always has a good word. So Shane, thanks for being with us and have a great rest of your
Yes,
week.
ma'am.